On this week's show, Peloton is laying off 400 employees and Barry McCarthy is leaving as CEO.
Plus, a new partnership with Hyatt Hotels. Jess Sims is teasing a new program and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 175 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm John Pruitt. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Amanda Siegel and Chris Lewis this week. How y'all doing?
Doing well. We needed Chris on the show this week for all the important stuff, right?
Did anything happen this week?
No, nothing happened this week. Yeah. But I guess
one of those weeks.
One of those weeks. I think that the telltale was everything going encore on Thursday, right? That was kind of the telltale.
Bad news was looming.
We knew something was happening, but you're going to hear all about it from us this week. So sit back, relax, get your cup of tea, and enjoy the show because there is going to be lots that we will share with you this week. Nice to have you back, Pruitt. I hope you had a fab time in Las Vegas.
I did. I'm still, my voice is still kind of struggling.
Yeah.
I've had a cold for 2 weeks. I started getting a cold, and I got it from Jackson right before I headed to Vegas 2 weeks ago. So the whole week, the whole weekend there, I was totally fatigued and I was just taking it easy. And then I'd go to the concert, but it was I powered through, but it was a struggle. And then I came home, and I've just been, taking Sudafed and Mucinex and just, it's gotten better, but it's taking its time. So,
yeah. Was it incredible though? How was the Sphere?
Oh, the Sphere venue in Vegas, amazing. Probably the best sound I've ever experienced in a concert at a venue before. But absolutely, totally worth the experience to go see a concert there.
That's amazing. Who's up next? Do we know who's up next there?
Dead and Company. Next.
All right.
Next this month. It's later May. They're doing a bunch of shows there. Yeah. And then the Eagles apparently are rumored to be performing there. So
nice. Yeah. And you, Chris, you had a good week back on Atlanta soil?
Yeah, it's good to be home. Got a couple runs in with you, so it was good to be back doing a little bit of workouts consistently.
Good.
Who won on that? Who won on the leaderboard? Amanda or Chris?
Amanda. No question.
You gave me a run for my money, though. I got to tell you, you started out and you were steady. I definitely, I'm up and down. I can't run. I mean, consistently for that long. I do a really fast walk though, and then I kind of picked up my speed. But we'll talk about it in the Peloton this week. But huge shout out to Mariana. That 90 minutes run on Thursday evening was spectacular.
Yeah, it was great.
It was, kind of a weird time, I guess. So we didn't see that many people as I'd hoped on the leaderboard live. But there were a fair amount. I mean, I was following about 30 people, which was awesome. So, but
it won't be a pick this week because it, came in just afterwards, but I'm sure we'll see it next week as a pick of the week as well. So.
It's going to be my pick of the week, but it was, it was fantastic. All right, folks. Well, we do have tons to talk about. So before we get started with the news, we always like to remind you how you can keep up to date with all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is released on our YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand side of the video and hit the notify button so that you never miss an episode.
And of course, we are on all traditional podcast platforms. If you are on the go, want to listen to the audio only, find us on every podcast outlet and leave those 5-star reviews. We love getting those reviews. We obviously love the little pat on the back. And we do appreciate the feedback too. We take that into account on how we can improve the show. So please keep those coming.
Yeah, and of course we are on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X. just go ahead and search Pelo Buddy and make sure you like and follow us for all of the latest news. And now, boys, let's get on with the show.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
All right, well, our lead story this week was the earnings calls were released on Thursday, but in advance of those being released, there were two separate press releases that came out. The first is that Peloton is going through what they are calling another restructuring plan. This is the second major one they came out with. There's three big parts to the one that were announced this week, though. The biggest impact is possibly that the company is laying off about 15% of the company, which is going to impact around 400 employees worldwide. And we saw yesterday, post already started, that people woke up to that news, found out they were unfortunately no longer with a job. So those went into, a lot of those went into impact immediately. The other parts of that restructuring plan are that they're going to continue closing more showrooms, and they've been slowly working their way through that, but they just specifically said they're going to keep doing that. And they're also going to look at changing how they do their future international launches. I think they're going to just try to do those in the lowest cost way possible. So possibly what we saw with Austria, where there's no showrooms, there's no physical Peloton retail presence there. They're just going to launch with a third-party retailer who can, kind of do the heavy lifting for them there. But in partnership with that, they also announced that Barry McCarthy is no longer going to be Peloton's CEO effective as of yesterday. He will stay on as a strategic advisor through the end of the year. They named two board members as interim CEO. That's Karen Boone and Chris Bruzzo. Karen's been with the board for a number of years, and Chris was a new board appointee as of late last year, I believe. And what they're officially doing is helping the current leadership team just keep doing what they're doing, and they're also going to lead the search for the new CEO. McCarthy released a letter to employees kind of telling them about the news. And one thing I thought was interesting, he thanked all the employees. He said that everyone was talented, the leadership team, the employees, super talented team. But he said that he once described turnarounds as a full contact sport, intellectually challenging, emotionally draining, physically exhausting, and all consuming. The decisions have never been more consequential, the urgency ever present, the teamwork never more central to the mission. From where I sit today, that pretty much summarizes my experience of the last 2 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, just an interesting statement, I thought. McCarthy did phrase it as he was stepping down. In the call, though, the CEOs implied that it was a board decision. There were two different things they said. They said this was the board speaking as the new CEOs. They said, with a strong leadership team in place and the company now on solid financial footing, the board has decided that now is the appropriate time to search for the next CEO of Peloton. And a second quote was, but with the business more stable, the board decided to pivot to a leader who's going to architect and lead the next phase of growth for the company.
I didn't realize that, and I only had time to listen to a little bit, but on John Hill's Connected Fitness podcast, they had mentioned that Barry McCarthy was actually only the interim CEO. He wasn't actually... He was considered interim.
I'm not entirely sure that's fully correct.
That's accurate. Yeah, because I thought that was interesting. He was never fully installed.
I think he came on
he
as
was full CEO.
Yeah, because it was 2 years that he was in that position.
2.5 years. Yeah, and they so the decision was announced yesterday, but apparently the plan was approved on April 22nd. So they've been kind of working their way up to this announcement over the last 2 weeks. And one of the filings they released with the SEC actually shared the severance package and new salaries of the new CEOs and Barry McCarthy. So Barry's going to get $50,000 a month for the first 3 months being a strategic advisor. Then he's going to get another $5,000 a month until the end of the year. His strategic role ends on December 31st. On the 31st, assuming he gives up any claims against the company, which I assume is probably a standard wording for that, he would get a $1.25 million payout, which was his salary, his annual salary. He'll also get stock option awards worth $3 million. The two new CEOs will each be getting a salary of $150,000 a month, which is equivalent to a $1.8 million salary, and each get an award of $450,000 worth of restricted stock units. And while they're serving as CEO, neither of them will get their board pay that they would have been getting just as members of the board.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
I
yeah,
mean, is that pretty standard? Is that kind of a standard payout, or do you think it's more than what people would have anticipated?
I don't know.
Not sure. Okay.
That's just the numbers. I don't know about if it's expected or not.
Right. All right. Well, I mean, look, there were a lot of people calling for that. So I guess it makes sense. I wasn't shocked.
A lot of opinions and comments on Pelo Buddy's social media posts. A lot of
I mean, Barry even said
viewpoints.
Barry even said it himself. Like, he feels like the company's on the right trajectory and just the stock market isn't recognizing that yet. And I do think there's some truth to that. Like, if the stock market had thought things were going better, I don't think we'd be seeing this change, right? So I do think there's something tied to the fact that the stock has been going down and not turning in another direction. And that's one thing. They phrased this and all these changes as, I believe it was resizing the company to the current business or streamlining it to the current size of the company. And just essentially like, this is the number of subscribers. They're not looking for explosive growth anymore. So they're just optimizing their operations to, kind of where they are today.
Yeah, and there's been quite a lot of movement as far as the C-suite goes, and seeing new folks come in. So hopefully these new folks will impact. No?
Yeah, I 100% agree, but I feel like some of that's just standard with some of these were just over the last 2 years, Barry has been putting his team in place.
Got it.
It just makes you wonder, when a new CEO comes in, are we going to see
what'll happen?
Their team come in with them, or will more people stay in place? So we'll have to wait and see.
And I saw someone post a picture. I don't know if it was just recent this week, but one of the showrooms in Australia has already closed in Sydney.
I believe that closed 2 days ago, so it was just before this news came out. But again, Australia is a pretty new market, so that showroom hadn't been open for all that long. And that showroom, I believe, actually, there was some sort of incident that happened in that area. And so that showroom had closed a couple of days to give, employees time to process and grieve. And I guess it opened for a day or two, maybe. And then now it's permanently closed.
Which is surprising. And I know the Australian market are very upset about that. I mean, that Sam was just there. He just did that big meet and greet with members. And I mean, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are as far as the showrooms closing. I mean, I know that from a financial perspective, it makes sense, but I think there is an aspect of community that these showrooms have brought. I mean, I know that, you have a relationship with Atlanta and you, Chris, and you have a relationship with your folks as well. John.
I have my guy, Steve, who I, communicate with pretty often at the Troy, Michigan showroom.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm curious to know your thoughts.
Yeah. And they've recently made this big push to have these sort of like new member sort of meetups to get them accustomed.
The warm-up events.
The warm-ups, yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts as far as them closing?
I mean, I feel like they're looking at this from a purely financial number, and just they can save money by not doing it, and they're just thinking they need to save every penny where they can now. I guess if things really pick up down the road, they can always look at reopening new ones and kind of going back. But I think a lot of the places they are now just have really expensive leases.
Yeah.
So probably some of those just,
retail spaces,
they got to get out of the leases.
Crazy rent. Well, it doesn't surprise. I'm actually surprised that they still have the number of showrooms currently open that they have at this point, just with all the money and cash they're burning through.
Yeah. So it does make sense. I mean, it does make sense.
Yeah, and they do now have some physical presence. They're on Amazon now, which doesn't really get them anything physical, but you can go online and have it here in 3 minutes. They're also in Dick's Sporting Good, and in some of those, they're physically there. If they get something like a Best Buy, that would really get them in a lot more. Best Buy's a little bit more widespread, or used to be at least. And Hydro at one point was in Best Buy. So if they can get into, like, say, a Best Buy, it'd be even easier for people to go check it out in person. You wouldn't quite get that same community, but you'd at least get the ability to go and touch one with your hands and try one out in person before buying it. They do have the 30-day home trial where you can get it, and if you don't like it, they'll come pick it up for free, refund your shipping. But there's still a lift of having to be there when they deliver it, find the space for it. So that's still a slightly higher burden to do than going to a Best Buy and checking it out, if you even know about the home trial.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how they'll move forward just from a community perspective, though, because as I said, they had used those showrooms as their community base for having these events. So I am curious to see how they look. I mean, I guess renting a space for a day is certainly a hell of a lot cheaper than having a showroom open for a year, when you're only going to use it.
The last year they did Peloton on tour to try to bring that community elsewhere. We haven't heard anything about that yet. Don't know if we will or not. But at the same time, like, how many people went out to those events at the showrooms? Not for homecoming, but other ones, 100, 200, and there's 7 million members.
Correct.
So, it's...
No,
they're thinking about
point.
The bigger, overall 7 million, I think.
For sure. And figuring out. No, it all makes sense. Yeah. All right, John, what else did you hear in that earnings call?
Yeah, so Thursday morning, obviously Peloton, they had their earnings call for their 2024 Q3 earnings. So some positives there. So they had achieved their first quarter of being free cash flow positive in over 13 quarters for the first time. So this had been a goal that Barry McCarthy had stated the company had been working towards since he joined in 2022. Also, their changes that they've made are expected to lower their annual run rate expenses by more than $200 million by the fiscal year 2025's end. And this also includes, as we just mentioned, closing retail locations. So to give some background, so since 2022, Peloton has laid off roughly 1,700 employees globally. To add on that, their total revenue declined 3% year over year, but the good news on that is that subscription income has increased by 3%. They also reported a loss per share of 45 cents versus a loss of 37 cents per share expected, so a little bit higher than what the street was expecting, and a revenue of 718 million versus what they expected, 723 million. They're also lowering several forecasts for the fiscal year, including their paid connected fitness subscriptions, app subscriptions, and revenue. While the stock did rise very briefly in the pre-market trading on Thursday morning on the news of the restructuring, it quickly dipped and declined throughout the day, being down more than 10%.
I think during the peak, Thursday, it was down to about 10%, but then by the end of close, it was up to only down about 2%. So, there were some huge swings throughout the day, but at the end of the day, it just, was pretty down. Flat, barely down. And one note to what you were saying about the subscription income, that was one thing they talked about a little bit. So they specifically mentioned that this quarter, they saw a lot higher churn on their paid app memberships. I think they said 10%, which is huge compared to their normal 1 to 2%. They talked about how that was due to, they thought that some of the legacy pricing had kind of expired, so people were canceling because of that. So overall, the number of app subscribers are going down, but because the app tier pricing is higher, they actually made a little bit more money. So that's kind of where they are with the app subscriptions. They're expecting less of them, but they're still seeing slightly higher profit from the new app tier.
Because of the price increase, the price bump. Some positive stuff around the Tread Plus relaunch. They had really good internal expectations regarding the delivery, the repair of the rear guard. They said they've already gotten 67% of pre-orders delivered. They also said their bike rental program had outperformed their expectations. New rentals are up 10% year over year, with buyouts exceeding expectations as well, meaning people would actually purchase the bike at some point after renting it for a period. They also said their refurbished program and third-party retail sales had strong growth year over year, also had outperformed their internal expectations as well. So a couple couple decent positive financial tidbits.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, one of the positives that also came out of that, which they chatted about, is that Peloton and Hyatt have actually launched a new partnership aimed at really enhancing the fitness experience for guests staying at Hyatt hotels. And they chatted about that in the call as well. But basically, this collaboration marks the first time that a global hospitality loyalty program, which is the World of Hyatt, will reward its members for engaging in health and wellness activities using Peloton equipment during their stays. So I thought that was really interesting. As part of the agreement, over 800 Hyatt properties worldwide will be equipped with Peloton devices, and nearly 400 properties will provide access to Peloton classes through guest room TVs. So specifically, every Hyatt hotel in markets where Peloton operates, so US, Canada, UK, Germany, Austria, and Australia, will feature Peloton bikes, and select luxury and lifestyle hotels in the US will also include the Row, which is a first time that the Row will appear anywhere other than in your, basement or gym.
That's not entirely true. There's a couple of hotels here and there that already have them because they are now part of the commercial program where anyone can buy them. They're just not widespread yet. But there are a handful of hotels here and there that do have them.
Got it. But to note though, we're still not seeing the Peloton tread being available in any of these, and in any of these properties. There are some additional benefits of the partnership, which include points accrual for World of Hyatt members completing qualifying workouts on Peloton bike or rows at participating hotels. So that's really cool. There's also a 60-day free trial of the Peloton app for new Peloton members. There's special offers on Peloton equipment and private events of World of Hyatt members. Access to non-equipment-based Peloton classes for corporate meetings and conference attendees. So this initiative definitely aims to make maintaining wellness routines easier for travelers and to introduce Peloton's high-quality fitness experience to new audiences. So I think hopefully this is something we're going to see, more, and we'll see more and more brands
bikes and
starting
hotels,
to offering this. Yeah.
For any. Go ahead. No, you go.
I was just saying, and just to specifically clarify one thing you said a minute ago about the treads, that's similar to the Row. We have seen some treads in random hotels, but we're not going to see them in the Hyatt hotels as part of this partnership. But again, random hotels here and there, not many, do have those. And one thing about this Hyatt partnership is most of it is more details to come. So you're not going to see them there tomorrow. We don't know the timing. They haven't specifically said how the points thing are going to work for doing the workouts in the hotels. So I think this was a little bit of a pre-release, get the news out there, then they're going to work through the specifics. And this is the second major hotel partnership they did. As a reminder, back in 2022, Peloton launched a big partnership with Hilton. So there's now thousands of Hiltons that have it. So now, once this fully rolls out, if you go to a Hilton or a Hyatt in the U.S., you're probably going to see a Peloton bike in there. Now, if it's been a little bit, who knows if the bike's going to be working? We've seen lots of reports of people going to Hilton and saying, like,
that's a common concern that I was going to mention.
100%.
A lot of people, they go in and the bikes just, all these hotels, they're not really like looking after the equipment in the fitness gym. So you go in there and like pedals might be busted or, might not be activated.
The seat post can't be raised anymore.
I've had
stuck
that
at the
before.
bottom.
Yeah, where you can't adjust it. God, that happened when I went to Puerto Rico and this bike was so rusty. But but it brings it back to my point. They really should have some sort of commercial grade bike for those spaces where, their bikes are just constantly getting abused and pounded by so many people.
No, there used to be one back in the day. There was a commercial
it was
bike.
Yellow or it was a different color, right?
Really?
It was white?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but the ones they're offering now through the Peloton for Business program, I believe, are not specialized hardware.
Bikes. Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice.
Look, I think the announcement also came, it was the day before the earnings call. So, I think they wanted to kind of put it out there.
It was well timed.
Let's show something positive.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of, do what we have to do after, which makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
Yeah, it was well timed, as David Miller commented to that effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, moving on to Jess Sims. She has been teasing one or more upcoming releases on her social media recently in classes. This includes a new Peloton program that she's a part of. So in the cool down, we have a clip of it on pelobuddy.com. In a cool down of her recent 20-minute EDM walk from April 25th, she teased that she has been recording classes for a new program. During the stretch at the end of the class, she revealed she's especially sore from this due to the filming the day before. And she shared that she is part of a program, or she didn't give any details beyond that or what type of program it is. She also teased last week in her Instagram stories that something new is coming. And it didn't indicate whether that something is Peloton related, whether it's new apparel or something else. But then on April 29th, she posted again to her stories, this time tying a special announcement to her upcoming Saturday 60 class. So,
which at the time you're hearing this, that would have been yesterday's class that came out. So the news will be out by now.
Yeah. So I was guessing or wishful thinking that the Saturday 60s would come back live, which a lot of folks have really wanted and missed, especially when she's been tied up on the weekends with her ESPN duties and her other commitments that she has outside of Peloton. So yeah, I guess we'll know probably a lot more after this episode comes out.
And I think there's some speculation too, like you were saying. It's, the two most likely choices seem either a second apparel drop of her apparel or the live Saturday 60 return. So those are kind of the two leading bets at this time as for what she announced Saturday.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to share it with you next week when we know for sure what it is. All right. Well, as we've been doing each week, we do like to share the highlights of the past week at Peloton. So from April 29th through May 5th, Peloton highlighted the following. The Disney ride with Ali Love. This class, which is part of Peloton's ongoing series of Disney-themed workouts, aired live on April the 29th and is now available on demand. Mariana's 90 Minutes 2010s run, which Chris and I spoke at the top of the show. This took place this past Thursday, May the 2nd, and it marks only the third 90-minute run on Peloton's platform and was Mariana's first time teaching a session of this length, which actually celebrated her anniversary of her first year on the tread platform.
And she mentioned during the class, as she was recording, that she had been asking for this class since she got on the tread platform a year ago. So it took a year for this to kind of come to fruition for her.
For her to actually do it. And I got to tell you, it was fantastic. I particularly liked her music choice. I liked how she brought in her heritage in the beginning with the kind of, Spanish music and Mexican flavor in the beginning. And she did it in kind of 4 parts. So she basically said she's a theater nerd, and she had it kind of in 4 segments with intermissions in between.
Which, unfortunately, I would say the intermissions might have been a little too brief for someone who is wanting a little bit more recovery, but that's just my personal opinion.
I love that.
The class was still great. The class was still great.
It was. And I got to tell you, I got on the class saying, I'm just going to walk this. I wanted to support Mariana. I was so proud of her for finally getting this out there. And, I really just wanted to be on there. Wasn't it a great time? 6:30 p.m. for me is certainly not a time that I would work out. And I'd done my workout during the day. But I've got to tell you, the adrenaline just kicked in. And you almost felt guilty not working out hard. And Chris, it was amazing being on there with you. You pushed me. I mean, I watched you. You were steady.
It was great chasing you, Amanda.
I definitely had my walk-run intervals. I mean, there was no question. I'm a very fast walker, though. But I, was able to kind of slow it down a little bit and pushed my inclines a little bit more. But absolutely fantastic. So we got to see that. And then Maddie Magiacomo was back with his Walk and Talk series, which aired on Wednesday, May the 1st. I'm sure they maybe put it in, Peloton, this week on Peloton, because the week before, unfortunately, he had to skip it. He had
under the weather.
Well, no, he actually had a run-in with his dog. Nana took him for a run the night before, and I guess had ended up getting loose, and Maddie was chasing her down, the Upper West Side, and ended up falling and hurting himself. So he took Wednesday off, kind of recoup and I think he scraped up his knees a little bit. So that was, that was the reason we never had it the week before. But his walk and talks, for those folks that don't know or are sleeping under a rock, are a mix of walking workouts with discussions about pop culture.
Like current news, yeah.
For an engaging and informative session. You got to be into that. Often when I'm on there, because I'm on there, the tread is mine on a Wednesday morning, and often Mark will walk in and he'll go, why is he talking so much? And I'm like, shush, I got to hear what's going on. And, this week in Maddie's world, as far as all the crazy stories of whether it be Broadway stuff or just, the alligator in Florida and the crazy stories from Florida. We also then got to have a chair yoga with a DT. This is a new 15-minute session that was added to the on-demand library on May the 2nd. And this class is designed to be accessible anywhere you have a chair. So providing a convenient option for yoga that suits any setting. So they really are trying to just remind folks all the different options that are out there. And I think these classes also showcase Peloton's just commitment to providing a diverse range of classes that cater to all interests and needs, making sure that members can find something new and exciting to add to their workout routines. And it's not just getting on the bike or getting on the tread. There's something fun, incorporating in there. So, that was this week in Peloton.
Well, we've got a new challenge, and it is meditation related. So in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, which is observed throughout the U.S. for the month of May, Peloton is including a meditation challenge for it for the first time. So members have the opportunity to earn 3 different badge levels. So you get a bronze for taking meditation classes on 10 different dates. You get a silver for taking meditation classes on 20 different dates, and a gold for taking all 31 days of the month.
And while we're talking about badges, I'll just throw out as well that there is a new badge for taking Christine's climb ride. There's a climb ride part 1. So it looks like there might be
Palomar,
Mountain, but that's our new legendary climb series. There's a badge for taking the first one. It says part 1. So in theory, there's going to be a part 2 and part 3 if you take the second 2 of those. So just FYI for anyone who likes badges.
All right. Well, you know that I am signed up for the meditation challenge, and so far so good. So that's awesome. And kind of in line with Mental Health Awareness Week, Sam Yo has introduced a new series called Seasonal Recovery, focusing on mindfulness and physical recovery tailored to the different seasons. So the series kicked off with the Spring Recovery class, which was a 20-minute ride that incorporates movement and meditation to encourage participants to reflect inwardly and embrace the present moment. So the class is available on demand. It's been there since April 21st. It's the first in what will be a quartet of seasonal themed recovery rides. And it aims to provide Peloton members with just a way to realign, reset, and recover through carefully crafted rides that correspond with the changing seasons. The series promises to offer 1 recovery ride per season, allowing members to engage with seasonally appropriate themes and practices throughout the year. The initiative is reflects a deeper integration of holistic health practices into Peloton's fitness programming, emphasizing the importance of mental and physical recovery in addition to regular physical training. And I think everybody's kind of waiting to see if Sam will become a new meditation instructor, maybe with the departure of Ross. Maybe Sam will actually land up in the yoga and meditation roster, but this was a great way for him to at least launch something different and new. And I think that's awesome. Love that.
Nice. Peloton has kicked off the month of May with a new artist series. This one is dedicated to the Icelandic Chinese singer-songwriter and record producer Laufey. And we got one standalone class, which happened live from Anna Greenberg. It's a 30-minute yoga flow. It's on demand. It's available in the library now, but it went down this past Thursday evening, May 2nd. I know our friend Greg Pick was there live for that class and posted about it.
Yeah.
And speaking of one-off artist series, it looks like there's a random other one that wasn't really announced that's dropping today. Christine has a 45-minute Judah and the Lion indie rock ride. So I don't think it's going to be all Judah and the Lion music, but it says it's going to be co-curated by Judah and the Lion. So that's just another little one-off that's taking place that would be dropping today, May 5th at 2 p.m.
That happened live in the studio?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
All right. Well, the Domestiq website has launched a new
Domestiq.
Oh, excuse me. Domestiq
IQ.
I should have my French come out there. Well, they have launched a new suite of free Power Zone tools specifically designed for Peloton users. So these tools provide a range of functionalities that enhance the Peloton Power Zone riding experience, including a post-ride Power Zone performance chart. So after completing a ride, users can generate charts that visually represent their performance aligned with the ride's Power Zone structure, as called out by the instructor. This feature helps riders see how closely they matched the instructor's calls and includes advanced metrics like TSS and power data. Then we saw a visualization of ride structures. So users can now visually see the structure of any Power Zone ride in the Peloton library directly on Domestiq's platform.
And real quick, I'll mention that I know a lot of people out there have used the Home Fitness Buddy website to kind of search and view those graphs to kind of get a feel of what you're looking for. And this part of it, this is kind of the same thing. It's just now on the Domestiq website. So if you ever use the, Power Zone search and viewing the graph, those features are now available in Domestiq. So you can kind of do that same Power Zone search and view the same Power Zone graphs ahead of your ride.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, this feature displays the intervals and zones without requiring users to navigate through multiple screens. It offers a clear view of what to expect during the ride. We also saw advanced Power Zone search tools. So Domestiq provides a visual query tool that helps riders find their Power Zone classes tailored for their training goals. So this tool allows searches based on specific zones, time spent in zones, intervals, and TSS ranges, making it easier to select appropriate workouts. These tools were previously available through paid third-party apps, as Chris had mentioned, but are now accessible for free, enhancing accessibility for all Peloton riders. The development supports riders in tracking and planning their Power Zone training more effectively and aligns with Domestiq's broader suite of feature that complement Peloton's offerings.
Yeah, and one thing I'll mention real quick, because I know a lot of people, you either love or you just don't like Power Zone. So even if you're not a Power Zone rider, we talked about it before, but there's a number of other features on there for non-Power Zone riders. Like one of the biggest feature requests I see at least is, man, I wish I could have multiple bookmark lists, right? Well, in Domestiq, you can actually have an unlimited number of lists that you save. And if you fully enter your credentials, you can actually one-click sync those to your Peloton stack. And there's also kind of a analytics suite to really dive into your stats. It's called Peloton Replay, but Peloton, when they come out with their annual replay, it's like January to October. You can do a whole year on here. You can kind of do any time period you want. And one other just super quick thing I'll mention before we move on is on Peloton, you can search by artist. You can't search by song. On Domestiq, if you're looking for a specific song, you can search for that on there. So just a couple of other features you might want to check out, even if you're not a Power Zone user.
Very nice.
Cool. Well, there is a new 150-minute filter, in case you noticed it on the app or on your device. It's probably related to the new New York City Marathon class that came out last week. So it's not a 2.5-hour instructor-led class, but I think you probably can confirm that, Chris.
Yeah, this is the one that they kind of talked about it during the earnings call as well. This is the full New York City Marathon course, which, the one thing they're really promoting about is it's actually, they recorded the metadata as they were driving around. So it actually does the auto incline for you. So when the video shows you going up a hill, the tread's going to do that for you. But that was a 2.5, I think they called it pro speed. Because I don't know about you, but my marathon pace is not 2.5 hours. So, it's sped up a little bit over what you and I might do for our pace, but it's that 2.5 hour, you'll get the entire course in and it'll do auto incline for you if you have the Tread or Tread Plus.
Nice.
And then speaking, while we're on the tread subject, there's a free tread giveaway. In case you haven't heard, Peloton is giving away one free tread device, not a Tread Plus, by the way, the Peloton Tread, to one lucky winner. They're partnering with the marathoner, running advocate, and author Martinus Evans to promote this giveaway. But anyone that's interested can enter on onepeloton.com/win-a-tread. And it's open through May 25th. The only information needed is an email address and zip code. But couple caveats. Contest is only open to individuals that live in the contiguous United States and District of Columbia, 18 years or older, one entry. According to the contest rules, it is also only open to first-time subscribers to Peloton marketing emails. So if you don't have a tread you want to enter, you might want to use a different email address that isn't associated with anything Peloton related that you might get communications on, because that might invalidate your entry. Yeah. And Peloton is going to randomly select the winner on or around June 3rd. It's not non-transferable if you win. Nice thing that I thought was kind of nice was the winner will also receive a check for $1,285 intended to assist with the tax liability related to the prize that you probably generate on your taxes that you would owe money for. And then also the all access membership's not included, so that's separate.
You're right. Well, last week we had shared with you that Peloton now have their Row and Tread available to be purchased on Amazon. This week we wanted to share that if you do buy them at the through Amazon, they're actually giving you 2 months of your membership for free. So there is a note under the price that says savings, and then it says 2 free months Peloton All Access membership. So if you are thinking of, if you're brand new and you're watching the show, which I'm not sure if there are any brand newers watching the show, I hope there are, and you're thinking of buying a tread or a Row, do it through Amazon, because you will get 2 months of the membership. Now, as I'm saying that, Chris, I'm curious to know, would that apply to someone who already has a membership, do you think?
Yeah, because I think it's just a coupon that you can apply to your account. So you'll get an email with a code. And because they did the same thing in February, I believe, where referrals earned you 2 months free membership. And it was just literally a code you got. You went in and you applied it like a payment, and it bumped, 2 months on your membership.
Nice.
One caveat I'll point out to what we just said, and John's about to cover this more, there is currently a sale going on hardware. So if you're looking in the next week or two, you want to double check the Peloton Sale. And if you're considering weights or stuff, it might be worth, passing up the 2 months free membership if you're looking for weights in a package, because there is a sale going on through Peloton on hardware.
All right. Tell us about it, John.
leads me right to the sale. So there's a sale for up to $700 off select hardware packages now through the 14th of May. It includes a discount on all Peloton devices, the Bike, Bike Plus, Tread, Tread Plus, Row, and Guide. And there's also a special limited time offer on 0% financing on the Bike, Treads, and Row, starting at 0 down on, this is on all financing term lengths, which is really nice, because before I think sometimes they were only offering 0% on like a really short term, like 12 months, when obviously a lot of us, we want to space out that payment over maybe a couple of years or 36 months. That offer is going on now through June 14th. The discounts, they're mostly for purchasing hardware packages and not the individual hardware itself, like the Bike, Tread, and Row, with the exception, though, of the Guide and the Tread Plus. So we did say Amazon is mentioned that Amazon is matching the sale for many products, but their sales don't include the packages like we were talking about. So in most cases, you could be better off buying from Peloton directly. But the Peloton Guide is the same exact price, $95 on Amazon currently.
Which I'll just point out too, like if you're considering a guide with the number of sales we're seeing recently, like you're probably going to see a $95 sale again. So if you miss out on this sale when you're looking for a guide, like unless you need it today, it's probably worth waiting for a guide because it's probably going to be on sale for $95 again, just as an FYI.
Got it. All right. Well, on April 26th, we had another round of class purges.
You should cover this, Chris.
Time,
Debbie Downer.
I'm happy to.
It's a small one. It's a small one. This time, all they removed were just 6 classes, while most of the classes removed were from December the 22nd of 2020. There were 1 or 2 classes from other dates also taken down as part of the cleanup process. As a reminder, the ongoing maintenance activity is part of Peloton's broader effort to enhance user experience and manage the ever-growing library of workout classes effectively. Regular updates on these purges are provided to keep members informed about changes to the available class options. And I added that in. Well, I added that in because I just wanted to say that it still amazes me. There are so many folks on the OPP that question the fact that their classes being why our class, and I'm like, just watch Pelo Buddy and you'll know exactly why, because we talk about it every damn week.
I always inevitably wait for someone to post the pelobuddy.com link. I always love, because whenever someone questions about the studio being closed, there's always someone always adds an article link from pelobuddy.com. So
it's so funny.
Or when someone messages me on social media, do you have any tips on like booking a class? I always send them the tips and tricks, link from Pelo Buddy. It's just because it's got it all there.
What were you going to say, Chris?
I was just going to say, we kind of talked about this last week, but you mentioned they removed December 22nd. Last week, they had removed December 23rd and skipped over the 22nd, and we wondered if they were going to go back and get the 22nd, and that's in fact what they did today for this week. So they did kind of go back and get the day they missed.
Got it. And then lastly, Chelsea Jackson Roberts celebrated a birthday this past week, and we always like to celebrate them here at Pelo Buddy. So huge happy birthday for Dr. Chelsea Jackson Roberts from all of us here at Pelo Buddy.
All right, let's head into instructors in the news. And first up is Hannah Corbin. She's got some news. So she recently shared 2 updates, life updates outside of Peloton. And a returning ride series. So first, she revealed she has, in fact, booked a role on stage and will be performing once again. I'm not sure if this is Broadway or off Broadway.
She said on stage. She did not say Broadway, so that's why we're not. It very well could
be, but
it's
in the theater.
It is in the theater. It seems like.
Yep. So it's probably not some school production in Jersey. I'm sure it's in Manhattan somewhere. She didn't give any details about that because she said she's not allowed to reveal anything yet due to an NDA, but will be sharing the full news as soon as she can, which she promised would be soon. And then in a recent cool down of her 30-minute country ride from April 26th, she shared that she has that's
in
part
that
of
same class.
That's when she revealed. Yeah.
Yep.
That she had secured her for, that's when she revealed the news initially.
She made both
official.
of these announcements in the same class.
Yeah. So it's been about 10 years, she said, and thanked members for their support. And then she also reaffirmed, just to let everyone know, she is not leaving Peloton. And then in the same ride, she mentioned that, this is what I was getting at. She mentioned that her signature series, Country Happy Hour, is returning soon. She didn't give a specific return date, but typically it leads up to the July 4th holiday or immediately after. So for 2024, she teased some 2-for-1 specials, which one artist is featured twice, as well as showcasing women country artists, as well as some special guests there.
Yeah, and I believe this one's actually going to start before the 4th this year. I believe some invite-only studio classes have gone out to members, and I believe I saw that one was June 23rd. So I think this series is going to start, kind of just before the 4th this year.
Nice.
Cool.
And congratulations to Hannah. That's so exciting.
I wonder if this is if it's a play or a musical. Is she singing?
Yeah, as soon as she lets us know, we'll let you guys know, and we'll all have to go book and see it. All right, moving on. Tunde. Tunde has shared her redesigned Brooklyn brownstone in an article on Heavenly's blog, which reflects her eclectic life and style. The article, titled "Step into Tunde Oyenoyan's Stunning Brooklyn Brownstone," explores how she, alongside Heavenly's Kelsey Fisher, created a home that is both a personal sanctuary and a vibrant space suited to her dynamic lifestyle. The design melds old and new elements, balancing exposed brick and ornate chandeliers with modern furniture and vibrant artworks. The curated mix reflects Tunde's personality and professional life, incorporating everything from a leather sofa to a burl wood sideboard. Personal touches such as the striking painting Dinka by Ingrid Bars play a central role in defining the space, bringing life and personal significance to her home. This thoughtful design aims to offer comfort and functionality, providing Tunde with a perfect place to unwind after a day at Peloton. The space is described as glamorous, yet full of charm and character, mirroring her own eclectic nature. So that was kind of fun to take a browse and have a look into her personal life and where she's living.
Cool. Well, Alex Toussaint was recently on the Stephen A. Smith show. I watched it on YouTube. It's about 30 minutes, but it's it's a sit down interview in his studio. But he talked a lot about this stuff. If you haven't read or listened to his recent book, Activate Your Greatness, he talked about his early days at Flywheel. How he started out basically, mopping up the floors there. And Ruth Zuckerman, who's the founder of Flywheel, giving him his chance at becoming a spin instructor, and then eventually being recruited to Peloton. He also talked about the story about his father. He talks a lot about his relationship with him, which was very contentious, especially when he was younger. And how when he was at Peloton, or in the early days of Peloton, when he was walking out of the 23rd Street studio, he specifically says, the date and time, April 4th, 2016 at 4:30 in the afternoon. He says, my dad called me. He said, I just wanted to let you know I'm proud. I'm choking up thinking about my dad right now. He said, I just wanted to let you know I'm proud. And he said he had been living to prove his father wrong when he said he could have been living to prove himself right. So just, it's a great 30-minute interview. Talked a lot about his, current endeavors too, with Puma and outside of Peloton. But you can check that out on YouTube. I'm sure it's on all podcast platforms too.
True. You've taken me. You've moved me here. I mean, I love that. I mean, look, I've said it 1,000 times how, after reading his book and chatting and listening to him chat in Atlanta, and it moved me. And I've shared that with him. So yeah, that was very sweet to see that. All right. Well, Matt Wolpers appeared on New York City's Living TV. The video on PIX11 featured Matt providing race training tips, specifically advocating for a 5K run as a means to boost motivation and accountability for those who are exercising but not seeing desired results. The content primarily focuses on how engaging in a structured challenge like a 5K can help enhance commitment to fitness goals and yield better workout outcomes. And after seeing that, Chris, it made me think of you and me. And I mean, we ran, a 5K just this past week.
Yeah.
So maybe we should look at doing it. Maybe we should take Matt's tips and go do a 5K together.
Next time you're here.
All right. I'll come to Atlanta.
Well, Bex Gentry, she was recently on the 321 Go podcast talking all about her recent marathon she did in Tokyo, and which basically completed her coveted Abbott World Majors, which is completing all 6 major marathons across the world. So Boston, New York, Chicago, Japan, Berlin, and London, I think are all 6 of those. And then also just talking, beyond that, with motherhood and body acceptance and, finding that joy in her personal transformation and the emotional growth tied to all that with, becoming a mom.
Nice. Well, from being a guest to being a podcast co-host, we shared last week that Bex is now one of the permanent podcast co-hosts on Set the Pace. This past week, she interviewed one of her friends and colleagues, our very own Mariana Fernandez. So Mariana appeared on the podcast with Bex and Rob Simmelcare. The podcast aired this past Thursday. I think it was, Thursday. And it had Mariana chat about mindfulness of one's physical and mental well-being. Mariana is incredibly open about her journey and coming to New York and how she kind of found running. She shares a lot about Mamichi, which is her endearing name for her mom, who everybody now, knows and refers to Mariana's mom as Mamichi, who is 71 and still running marathons, which is pretty incredible. But she talked about her first time running with her mom in New York for the TCS New York Marathon back, I think it was 2017, but I should have written down that date. It was her mom's third time running. It was Mariana's first. And, just how impactful and powerful it was, starting out the race and then finishing up, with her mom. And I think I mentioned it last week. I can't remember, but I did run Mariana's section of the, the new drop that they just had of the marathon. And she talks a lot about that as well. And she spoke about that on the podcast too, about running, doing the, what's the word? Simulcast, would you say, of the marathon? That
narration?
Narration, but yeah.
The voiceover?
Okay. Yeah, the voiceover. So yeah, a really awesome, really awesome podcast, and beautiful to hear Mariana being featured on there. So really cool.
A lot of podcast appearances this week. So DJ John Michael, he was back on the Pop Theory podcast and talked all about his love for Madonna. And they also were discussing the new Beyonce album, Cowboy Carter, which is out now and is a lot of that's been played on Peloton lately.
All right. And then finishing up, LP Giobbi was at Peloton's headquarters on Thursday presenting a listening party with DJ John Michael and some instructors. So we got to see Dennis, Jess King, and Alex Kowarski, who were all in attendance, and I guess got to hear her music and possibly something that we can look forward to on the platform moving forward. So, yeah. And that wraps up the instructors in the week. I guess we will go right into class picks. And why don't you kick it off, John?
All right. First up, Bradley's 30-minute 90s rock ride from April 25th. Nina182 submitted this. She said, fun rocking out with Bradley's cheeky little self. And then Rebecca Kennedy's 20-minute Fred Again, low impact cardio, also from the 25th. Armajar 3 and Just Dance Lisa gave us this one. They said tons of fun, great music, plus low impact cardio is always great. And then heading over to the bike, Hannah Frakeson's 30-minute Fred Again ride from the 25th. Run Cycle Rosa, Jill versus the Hill. And Daisy Mack gave us this one. They said this class was perfect.
Yeah, this Fred Again series was definitely a hit. I just did, the only one that I've done at this point was John Husking's 30-minute Fred Again run, which was on the 25th. And it was fantastic. It is my pick of the week together with Run Cycle Rosa and Jill V's The Hill. The energy in that class was superb. There's no question that it is an artist that he clearly loves. Unfortunately, I think his enthusiasm in that class is what took him off the platform for a couple of weeks because it was a pre-recorded class he had done the week before, and I think that was what kind of was the demise of his ankle, and he had to take a couple of weeks off. But it was just, some of his great songs in there. He's a great DJ, and the music was just incredible and just so much energy. But Kira Michelle also had a Fred Again 30-minute yoga conditioning, which also dropped the 25th. This one came to us from Amaja 3, and they said tough but really good. And then moving away from the Fred Again artist series, we have Olivia Amado's 45-minute walk plus run. This one came to us from Marla in MD. It was one that dropped on the 26th at 9 a.m. And they said both very challenging, but very motivating.
All right. Next up, I was just pulling up the playlist for this one because I did want to mention it. Next up, Alex's 30-minute Club Bangers ride from April 27th. C. Bakley submitted this one. They said, great class as always. The Ratchet Party really got me fired up. This class was awesome. One of his most dirty, ratchet, explicit playlists on Club Bangers that he's done in a minute. But I really enjoyed this class. And I was just looking up the playlist. I know he played the Whisper song by the Yin Yang Twins, which if you're not familiar with that, very, very dirty, very, very dirty, explicit lyrics. But he also played, he kicked it off with House of Pain, Jump Around, which always gets everyone going. But he played, I Want to Rock from Luke from Two Live Crew, just a fabulous playlist. And I had posted a clip from it, and everyone seemed to really be in agreement on that one, how good a ride it was. So don't skip it if you haven't taken it yet. Hannah Corbin's next up, her 45-minute rock ride from April 28th. We got that from Amy MS Chalk. She said, great playlist, challenging ride. And then Allie's 30-minute feel-good ride from April 28th. A lot of folks submitted this one, including Love Squad Peloton, Christina M. Romano, Life with Three Boys, See Me Rolling, Kate the Great, and Hokey Dog Doc. They said studio crowd was great with the Love Squad takeover. Her messages were also really great this week. I peeped the playlist on this one. I just noticed that she played 2 Taylor Swift songs, which was nice to see as well. So, yeah,
nice.
People seem to really enjoy it.
All right. Well, Christine Derklay's 45-minute climb, her Palomar Mountain Part 1 was a pick of the week for Strong and Squishy. This one dropped on the 29th. At 10 a.m. The first ride of her new legendary climb series was great. Plus, you get a badge. And yeah, Chris shared that there is a new badge for that. Emma Love also had a 45-minute 90s ride on the 29th. This one came to us from Christina A.K. and Lizzie G. Still crushing it even while pregnant. And wow, lots of 45-minute classes and people are liking them. Katie Wong had a 45-minute row boot camp. It was upper body, also from the 29th. It came to Tabata Be Hitting Me. And they said Monday night boot camps are always great, challenging and fun, lots of unilateral movements.
All right, heading over to the yoga mat. Anna Greenberg's 20-minute restorative yoga from April 30th. The Diva Lucia submitted that. They said felt nice and loose after this. Then Leanne's 45-minute pop ride from April 30th. Everyday Julie K gave us this one. She said incredible playlist and her energy is infectious. Will repeat for sure. And then Sam Yo's 45-minute Power Zone Endurance 80s ride from May 1st. Kev Rides PZ8 submitted that. He said great playlist and solid Power Zone structure.
Yes, for the intern that is listening to the podcast this week, please note how many 45-minute classes were picks of the week this week. Clearly, members like them. All right, we'll round up the picks of the week with Cody Rigsby's 30-minute hit and heels ride. This one was from the 1st of May. It was a 7 a.m. and I did hear your clip, John, of Cody saying, don't expect to see me this often at 7 a.m. in the morning. It did come to us from Tabata Be Hitting Me. His hatred for mornings is relatable, but they said good workout.
It was good.
Then,
he was kind of like, he was a little cranky, during pre-show, but there was some fun. I mean, it wasn't just a pop ride; it was hitting hills. So, there was a program, there was some work to be done. But overall, it was a good Cody effort.
Listen,
keep in mind, he's got another early morning ride. I guess he's subbing for someone next week. So, just a heads up to anyone: Tuesday morning, May 14th, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. He's doing a 30-minute 90s ride. So, if you want some more early morning live Cody, there he is.
There he is. All right. Well, Robin Arzan's 20-minute interval ride, also from the 1st. This one came to us from Rachel Blaufield. They said, nice and spicy, wearing a yellow belt. As we know, that's her
that's the indicator.
Her trademark,
it's going to be
her
hard.
indicator.
Yep.
And then last up is Rad Lopez's 20-minute glutes and leg strength, also from the 5th. This one came to us from Julie MJ. It was very spicy, and the music was great. All right, well, I guess that wraps up the picks of the week. Some nice choices in there.
Mix.
And yeah, definitely love seeing everybody, sharing. As we always said, we like to see some new people in there. So please, 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 if there are classes that you love and there are instructors you don't typically hear on picks of the week, then definitely make sure that you share them. And just a reminder, we did it last week, Wednesdays. Chris will do something on social media. He'll put up a story where you can submit. And if you don't have Instagram, you can certainly go over to, pelobuddy.com and send him an email. So definitely make sure that you submit those, because we do love to share them.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, I guess that was it. Always nice having you on here, Chris, with your little bits and pieces that
keeping
we miss.
Us in line.
Keeping
I don't know
us
about
in
that,
check.
but thanks for letting me sit in.
We love it. We do. I think you add
We'll
some
throw
value
you some more stories from time to time.
I think so. I think maybe we should do that. But as always, we always like to say thank you so much for taking the time to, add us into your weekly routine of podcasts. We do feel that we offer, just a nice overview of what's happened for the week. Obviously, this week was a little bit more, sensitive.
A little more to digest. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We send our love and appreciation to those folks behind the scenes at Peloton that unfortunately did get laid off this past week, because we know that everybody impacts ultimately, our experience, and we don't take that for granted. So, for those of you that are, behind the scenes that we don't get to see, but we know that you've made an impact, thank you. And I'm not sure if any of you listen, but hopefully this gets passed on to you, because we do appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Yeah. So I guess from me here down in Maryland for this week, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And bye for now, everybody.
And from me here in Atlanta, we'll see you next time.
And me in Michigan, thank you as always for tuning in, listening, watching. And as always, we'll see you on the leaderboard. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.